the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike, and I got my line mate Matt with me. And today we're going to be talking about the Game 1 Stanley Cup Finals and a little bit of NHL news. So, Matt, the Colorado Avalanche take Game 1 as predicted. It was a close one, OT win for them. And if you look at the scores from these two teams, not their scores, but their records, 12-6 for the Lightning, 13-2 for the Avalanche. You know, we got two teams, man, that have done really well in the playoffs so far. Especially, you know, the Avalanche. I mean, they've only lost 2 games, swept 2 teams. If they, just hypothetically speaking, if they were to, you know, sweep the Lightning, that would be incredible. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
No, that'd be a big upset.
What do you have from yesterday's game?
So it looks like the Lightning, obviously, they started off slow. They gave up 3 goals in 1 period, and that's not really a Lightning thing. You know, that's usually like a final score type of game.
Right.
But it looks like they bounced back in the second. They got their role players really stepped up, got 2 goals, and forced it to OT. And the ex-Washington Capital, Barakowski, with the game winner. And, Lightning fans aren't panicking. They were down 2-0 last series. We know what happened. They won 4 straight. And the Avalanche played good. You just give them credit. They a good home game, good home win. You know, they got the last change and the matchups they wanted, and they ended up getting the big win. And it looked electric, too, the arena. The fans, I mean, usually when I watch Avalanche games, I mean, I think me and you've talked about this. Like, this is a contending team, and it was, like, empty, the building.
Right.
Not last night. Obviously, they're in the final. People are showing up. Hot ticket. They were singing songs, the Blink 182. Yeah. And it looked exciting. It's back in the Ray Bourque era with Joe Sakic. That's when it was electric, too. I haven't really seen it like that in a while.
Right. The villain, at least in my life in the NHL, Gabriel Landeskog had a pretty good game, man. He had a goal and 2 assists, so he's really contributing. Had 23 minutes on ice. He actually had more minutes on ice than McKinnon did. McKinnon, though, he showed up as well. He had a goal and assist, which is impressive. Which is what you expect out of these guys. You know, this is the big league or the big time, I should say, big game, and they are showing up. Something I want to talk about, man, it's keeping Landeskog and letting Grubauer go. Now, something to think about. Grubauer played on a really bad Kraken team, right? Do you think that the Avalanche would still be where they are today if he was still on the team and say Landeskog was not?
That's a good question.
Because they are good, and I don't look at Landeskog as a game breaker. I think that he's essentially a good role player right now, and I think he plays very well because of the teammates that he has on his team. Grubauer, on the other hand, you know, that's a different world over there in goalie. So yeah. I'm just curious what you think.
I think they made the right choice. At the time, I didn't, because I didn't really trust Darcy Kemper. You know, he's kind of been a backup most of his career. Mm-hmm. You can't really say he was a starter in Phoenix because that team, you know, it wasn't really a team. And he showed he could start. You know, he's had some injury issues, but I mean, he won Game 1. He got a win, Stanley Cup final. But I think, like you said, he's a role player now, Landeskog, and you need that type of guy in the playoffs.
Yeah, you do.
He was a game breaker back in the Matt Duchene days when they were, you know, both, you know, like the Kane and Taves coming up, these young 2 guys, and they ended up dealing Duchene, and I think that was the right thing to do because I think he had a good bounce back year this year, but he's not, he wasn't the same as he used to be. He was putting up 30, you know, every year with Colorado, and Landeskog is that type of guy who could, he would fit in with like the St. Louis Blues, the way he plays. He's like a mean, gritty guy. And you know what?
I think
he's been their leader. He's good. He's a good player. He fits with the Avalanche. And Sakic, you know, went with the captain. He went with the guy who's been there longer and put his time in and gave him the money instead of Grubauer, and Grubauer wanted to get paid, and he's going to get paid, but definitely not going to be winning anytime soon in Seattle.
Right. Landeskog, I don't look at him as a gritty player. I think I look at him as borderline dirty player. He's one of those guys. He's one. What is he? What is he, like 6'3"? He's one of those 6'3" guys that likes to go and hit the shortest guy on the team. He's not going up there and mixing it up with Hedman. And
who did he go after on the Hawks? Was it Kirby? Me and you were texting. I remember we were exchanging. We're like, "What a prick!" You're real tough.
He went after Kirby from behind. He tried going after DeBrincat once. DeBrincat shut that down. Even with his like 7-inch disadvantage, and he cross-checked. I think Kaner once from behind, and it was like, really, dude, you're gonna go over there and try and hit Kane. The guy. I mean, even if you're open, Kane isn't going to blindside and hit anybody. Do you know what I mean?
He wouldn't hit anybody even on accident.
Right.
That's
right.
It's just not his game.
But he's doing that to guys who typically don't hit back. But if he has an opportunity to hit somebody like, say, Zadorov, that's not going to happen. He's not going to hit. He's not going to hit somebody like Victor Hedman. He's not going to hit somebody like, say for instance, Ryan McDonough. That's just not the type of guy that he is. I don't like him. I hate him.
Patty Maroon, he wouldn't go after him.
No way.
Yeah.
Or Corey Perry.
You know what? I have to say this. I hated Corey Perry when he was a Duck. I hated him.
I think everybody did.
But if, like, the type of guy, he's on your team, you're cheering for this guy.
Right.
And I think I've really grown to like him watching these last couple seasons.
Yeah.
This guy he's like Hossa. With the Stanley Cup appearances and losing.
Oh, right.
And he's still trying to find that team. He ends up going with Tampa, and he's in the final again. 3 different teams, just like Hossa.
Right.
Second player to ever do that.
Right.
So, you know what? I'm pulling for him. I hope he can get one. I know he got one with the Ducks when he was a rookie, but you know what? I love the way he plays. He's an older guy. He knows his role. I think he's making like $1 million. He's not making anything, and he's a factor out there. He's out there stirring it up. He's tipping, screening, hitting, and I'm pulling for that guy.
Before I go any further and I hit my next point, I got to let everybody know that this podcast is sponsored by Manscaped. And I'll tell you what, man, these guys have great products and they're great guys to work with. They have this thing called the Weed Whacker. And essentially what it is it takes care of your, like your nose hairs and your ears hairs, which I know a lot of hockey savages out there have it, and it needs to be taken care of. Do us a favor, use our code Shy Tomahawk and get yourself one of these Weed Whackers to take care of that, because it's unsightly and you want to be one of those dudes walking around with a forest coming out of your ears. And not to mention some of their other products that take care of the undercarriage, if you know what I mean. Be a little considerate, to your lady friend, your wife or your significant other or what have you, and make sure that you trim everything up down there and get everything taken care of. They've even got ball deodorant, which is something that I've never heard of before, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, but they have it, and you know what? It's actually pretty cool. It works. And one of their kits they have, what comes with the shaver, it comes with the ear weed whacker, and it comes with a pair of boxers that are pretty awesome. I used them to run in a couple days ago, and they actually worked out pretty well. So do us a favor, check out Manscaped. They're awesome. Products are awesome. They shipped it to me. I'm going to let you guys know. And I tried it out. It was something that I was actually looking to buy myself, but I didn't. They sent it to me. It's awesome. I'm going to keep on using it, and I'm going to let you guys know how my how my Manscaped journey goes. Brandon Hagel had an assist. Brayden Point had an assist. Played 17 minutes.
First game back, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
He looked good. I saw him a couple shifts. You know who I really enjoy watching is Kucherov. I don't know if you've seen that pass that he made.
I did not.
It was just an elite pass. Unbelievable. I think it was the goal that tied the game. He made a great move around a guy and just put the puck right on the guy's tape, just buried it, tied the game. And the guy's just a machine.
Yeah, he is. He is. I'm predicting a comeback win from Tampa on the next game. Vasilevsky, this is his bread and this is what he does. He loses one, he comes back with a shutout practically each time. So that game is going to be, I think, Saturday, or is it Friday?
I think it is. Let me see. What does it say? June 18th. Is that tomorrow?
No, that's Saturday.
Saturday, yeah, okay.
So what do you think about the games being on ABC?
It reminds me of the Gary Thorne days. They're still playing the ESPN theme, which I like. I do like the TNT guys better.
Okay.
I like the intermission guys. Biz is kind of a goofball, but I like Rick Tocchet. I like Anson Carter's pretty good. Liam McHugh? He's okay. And I like when they have Gretz on. I love what he has to say, even though he talks like this when he's on the. It's hard to hear him. Like he's just so soft spoken.
Yeah.
But when he talks, you listen because it's Gretzky, and
he has great insight.
Yeah, he does.
He always has great points. It's like I don't want to you can probably accredit it to his playing days, but he sees the game a little bit differently.
He sees it in a different angle. Yeah, for sure. The thing that is weird to me, it's like you got a guy like Biz sitting next to him. This guy didn't do anything in the NHL. He's just a personality.
Sure.
And sometimes he's funny. I think he'd be a good guy in between the bench type of guy, like a guy interviewing players after the game in the locker room during the game intermissions or something.
Right.
But I don't know if I really like him on the panel. I think he's a little too goofy. I kind of like the more serious. He's not as goofy as what's his name? Like the NBA guys, Charles Barkley and Shaq. They got a cool little little rivalry going on. Yeah, I like that. But I think Biz is a little too goofy.
Do you think they need another guy like him?
Biz?
Yeah.
No, I would rather see
kind of like. I think that they're trying to get him and Gretz to kind of be like the yin and yang.
I think it's more Talk. I think they're pushing Tocchet, and that's just not him. Tocchet's like, yeah, okay. What have you ever done? You've got a couple. Yeah, I liked Rick Tocchet. I know he was big with Philly. I remember watching him in the '90s. Those playoff battles with Pittsburgh all the time. He was.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm holding out hope that the Hawks can snag this guy because all these coaches are coming off the board all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's kind of like
a 5-year deal.
So
5-year deal.
So here's the thing, I don't mean to cut to like another sport, but you look at the Cubs.
Yeah,
they're not doing very well. They kind of have this manager, and they're kind of like as like a place setter. So when like the kids start coming up and they start getting good, his contract kind of runs out, and then they get the coach. Yeah,
it's ruthless.
And it is. But then again, at the same time, it's like, okay, you're getting a few million a year. So it's not like
it happened to Savvy. Remember?
Yeah, it did.
Savard kind of groomed the kids a little bit.
Yeah,
showed them how to be Blackhawk and how to be a pro. And
yeah,
Coach Q's available, sitting in the stands as a scout.
Yeah,
and Denny, we've seen enough from you. We're gonna bring in Q.
Yeah, they had Kaner in tears.
You know what? And I was pissed off when it happened. I really was because I love Savvy, and he didn't. It was 4 games.
Yeah,
and it was like we were what 2-1-1 or something.
Yeah,
and it's like, come on, if you knew you were gonna do that, just start off with Q. Don't mess around with a legend who's got his number retired here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard, and you know what? Savvy was a pro about it. He was real professional. He's like, you know what? Yeah, they need a new voice, and he stepped back for a little bit, and he came back as an ambassador, and
practically
some people
immediately
get bitter over that.
Yeah. They probably told him like, look, this is what we're looking for you to. This is what we're looking for you to do for our team. And he was probably like, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe at the same time he's like, yeah, maybe I don't have this in me.
Yeah,
But
well, he lives in Chicago. He didn't
yeah, he
want to,
does.
pick up and move. And
right.
hey, good power play guy. The Hawks had a good power play with Savvy because
Yeah.
the guy was a power play player. And I thought the 08 or 09, it was 08, the year before, the Hawks kind of ran away with it, made the playoffs, and made a run.
Right.
He had them good. They were good. The
Right.
Hawks just missed out 3 points, I think, and power play was good. Sharpie, he had a good breakout season, and I credit Savard with getting a lot of these guys ready.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with you. So, kind of moving on, man. Got some NHL news for us. We've got coaches coming off with the board. Who just came off?
So, I think we talked about Cassidy. Obviously, it's official now with Vegas.
With Vegas,
5 years. Making $4.5 million a year, too, as a coach.
Nice.
So, they're spending some money. Yeah, good for him. I think he earned it. He's got a lot of pressure on him, though, already. Because Vegas, the owner wants to win. He was ready to win. They're spending money, bringing in superstars. And I'm not sure if this is official yet, but it sounds, according to Twitter and all these writers, that Torts is now a Philadelphia Flyer.
Ugh.
And it's a mixed emotions on Twitter. A lot of people are thoughts and prayers to all the Flyers players and Flyers media. And I'm laughing because you know what? That's a guy who doesn't take any shit from anybody. And
No, he doesn't.
guy. That's the guy I'd love to play for. Obviously, anybody who listens to us knows that I'm a pro Torts guy.
You are.
And I recently put out a tweet saying I wish the Hawks made an offer for Torts just so I can hear his post-game shows, and the Chicago media being in tears after he gave them a mean response because there's a lot of soft kind of writers, I feel like, in Chicago with they're really outspoken about their politics and their feelings about everything. I think Torts would make them pretty upset about stuff. And I'm ruthless, but I think that's funny. And I would actually like to see it because a lot of them piss me off.
I know they do. That's kind of funny. You know, man, I think that he's exactly what that team needs.
Yep. He's the kick in the ass that they're paying. They need a culture change.
Yeah.
And he's the man to do it.
Yeah, he is. I think that, with him, behind the bench, it's exactly what the team needs. To be honest with you, it's almost like they've taken a step forward, just bringing him on board.
I think so. Yeah. And if you remember, they traded for Cam Atkinson last year.
Right.
Cam Atkinson was a Blue Jacket forever, and Torts was a Blue Jacket for a couple years. And I've heard that Cam Atkinson is pumped about this move.
Really?
And I'm hearing on social media that Cam Atkinson's not happy, but there's an article saying that he loved Torts and would love to play for him again in the near future. So who do you believe? I mean, he had a lot of success with Torts. So I think that this is a good move by Philly, and it's a good move for your star player now. I think. I think it's Cam Atkinson now that Giroux's gone. I think that's the guy right now. And if you take care of the guy who is going to carry the team, it's probably going to be a good thing for the Flyers.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really between him and Torts. All he has to do is go up to Torts and be like, "Hey, listen, don't worry about what you read in the the papers because it's not what I said." And Torts knows too. I mean, he knows the guy, so I don't think that's a big deal.
I think it's a great move, and I think Seth Jones has even come out and said he loves Tortorella. He loved playing for him. Even Panarin, I think, said that he liked. I mean, he obviously, he wanted to get paid. There was no way he was staying in Columbus, and I think deep down Torts knew that. He's like, this is an elite superstar. This guy's going to get paid. But, he had a lot of success. Even Bobrovsky was very good. I think he won a couple Vezinas under Torts. So you got to credit the defense in front of him.
Yeah.
And, since he's left to go to Florida, he hasn't been the same goalie. So maybe you got to think in the back of your mind, hey, maybe Torts had something to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it does really make you think. but Bruce Cassidy, man, to be honest with you, I wonder what kind of a situation that he's walking into here, because you got Robin Lehner that's, he's injured. When they needed him most, he was injured. He's typically injured every single year, but they decided to move away from Marc-Andre Fleury so that he could be the number one guy. So what do? I'll be honest with you. I think that they have a goaltending issue there, because rain or shine, when it's time for them to make a push for the playoffs, is Lehner going to be hurt again?
Well, going by history, yes. I think you got to invest in a good backup.
Man.
And, he's got to be a good 1B type of backup, not a B,
but I think that the point that I'm trying to make is that this player can be, quote unquote, the 1B, but considering how much time that Lehner misses, how long is it when they just say, you know what, why don't we just make this guy our number one guy? Because this other guy, Lehner, he can't handle the workload.
No, you're right. I agree with that.
Like if you're the coach,
hurt him. He hurt him this year.
Yeah. If you're the coach and say, it's me and another guy and I'm hurt all the time, but I'm supposed to be your number one guy, but I'm not there when you need me to, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to put my chips in this other guy's basket because this dude's always hurt. It's too much work for him to be a number one guy. His body can't handle it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think that's what's going to happen in Vegas, and Lehner's going to have a hard time with that because he's always wanted to be that one dude, that number one guy, and get paid, and especially the way he's getting paid. He might have a problem with it. I think he is a good teammate on one hand, but I think that he's going to have a hard time being that number two guy.
Yeah, I think that, jumping back to his Blackhawks years, I think if Bowman was able to lock him up for a couple seasons, I think Bowman would still have his job. Just the way he was playing with the Blackhawks, he was stealing games, and the only reason why the Hawks were even in a contention. Yeah. And since he's been traded there, yes, he's been getting hurt. He's kind of got those. What did he get? Like a 6-year deal?
I wanted to say it was a 6 years deal at 5.5 per.
That's big money from a guy who has never really got over a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big workload. I hope he's healthy because I love the way he plays. He's a big goalie, moves pretty well, covers a lot of net. But if you're up in the press box, you're not helping the team. So he's got to get healthy this summer. And I've heard good things from Mark Stone. I think his back was just shot. I think he had surgery. He's healthy. He's ready to go. Obviously, we know Jack Eichel's going to be back. Yeah. So this could be a scary team. And they actually made a trade today with Montreal trading Shea Weber's contract for that Dadonov or Dadonov, whatever, however you pronounce it. But this poor guy was supposed to be traded at the deadline to Anaheim.
Right.
And I guess the deal, he accepted the deal, but Anaheim wasn't on his no trade list. So he ended up going back to Vegas, and you know what? It's weird, like say, hey, you've been traded. Oh, no, you haven't. You're back, and we're happy you're here. It's like, no, you're not. You got to say that,
Yeah.
But I credit the guy. He handled it with professionalism. He came back, and he was one of their best players down the stretch trying to get in the playoffs. They fell short, but he was good. I think he had a great game against the Hawks. I think he had like 4 points.
Yeah, I think he did.
And I'm like, this guy is, he's trying to show Vegas, like, hey, maybe you should hold on to me. But they ended up trading him today for Weber. And I think it's going to be kind of like a Tampa type of thing, going to be put on long-term IR.
Yeah.
And good for Montreal. They're getting a pretty decent player for a rebuilding team. And I'm sure Marty St. Louis can bring out the best in him. So I like the move for Montreal.
Where does that leave Vegas with their cap space?
I think that was just a $4 million free up, but with Eichel and Stone, Pacioretty coming back, I'm hearing William Karlsson is the next to go.
Okay.
So they still have some work to do.
Yeah. I was going to say because I think they need to free up $14 million.
Yeah, so he's 6 or 7, I believe. And I'm hearing Ottawa's very interested in him.
If you look at if you look at Vegas, it's not just one more guy. They need a few guys because they need a little bit of a cap space, a little breathing room.
Yeah, and I think, like we were talking about, I think a good, solid goalie should be number one priority for this team.
Well, cool, man. They're really interesting. Love seeing how this stuff always kind of
I love
stuff
this
plays
stuff.
out. Yeah. Cool for
the
Bruce
silly
Cassidy.
season, they call it. Yep.
The silly season, right?
Yep.
Right.
This is the silly season. It's once the final's over, you hear all the rumors and all the signings, and I like it, man. I think it's fun, and there's been a lot of rumors with Kane and Taves, and DeBrincat might be on their way out. I mean, I'd be sad, but if it brings in some good prospects, some young guys, picks, it's kind of exciting. I mean, you don't want... I think Kane and Taves should have their statue like Bobby Hall and Makita.
Yep.
And I think they deserve it. I'd love to see them retire here, kind of like Makita did. He never wore any sweater but the Indian head.
Yeah.
And I hope both of them do, but, it's a new era now, and most GMs like to put their footprint on something, and I think I just get a feeling Davidson is going to want to do stuff his way and totally change everything up.
I think that they should keep them because they're not going to be in contention next year, and if they're not going to be in contention next year that's really going to change things, then there's no need in moving them right now. If they were on the cusp and they needed one guy, I think that would be a different story. But that's not the case right now.
Here's my prediction. I think that Kane will be traded to the New York Rangers at the deadline. And I think Taves will be a Blackhawk because no one wants that contract. I hope he has a bounce back year. But, he doesn't really have anyone around him. I don't see him getting like 50 goals, 40 goals,
right.
Not even 30. So maybe somebody will want him as a playoff role type of like Stevie Stevie Yzerman shutdown guy for like a contending team. But
he's great at the dot.
He is. And I really think that he's a great Blackhawk. He's obviously one of my favorites that, I'm very lucky I got to see him. I saw his first game, and I remember he scored on his first shot against the San Jose Sharks. Nabokov first. I don't think it was his first shift, but it was his first registered shot. It went in. Wow. So I was like, this guy's going to be special. And I'm also hearing DeBrincat.
Little did we know.
Yeah, and DeBrincat. My thing is he's proven. He's scored 40. He's a big-time goal scorer. And the only question I have is, can he do it without Kane? That would be my only thing. But he's young. And, I'd love to see him get locked up. Or, if they're not going to give him a long-term deal, I think you should trade him then.
Here's the thing. Kane, he gives him passes, dude, that shouldn't get through. And he does that consistently. And that's probably why I think DeBrincat is able to score a lot of these goals. Yes, he does have an incredible shot. But I think that there are some times where it's like the defense is so lopsided on one side that passes should not be able to get through. And they routinely do because, obviously Patrick Kane is a generational talent. If DeBrincat doesn't have somebody who can feed him shots like that, I don't think that he can keep up his production.
We're hoping Lucas Reichel can be that guy.
And this isn't, I'm not saying that he can't produce because he's not capable of doing it. I'm saying that he can't produce is because he needs a teammate to do that for him.
Yeah, Kaner,
He's not like a Brendan
elite.
Shanahan who can score 50 goals a season. Doesn't matter where he's at,
Yeah. You know what, man? I would love to see a stat of all of DeBrincat goals if Kane has majority of the primary assist on it.
I would imagine a lot of them are.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's insane then. And that just right there would be a red flag, I guess, for Davidson. Like, hey, if I get rid of Kane and he's not going to be here forever,
right?
What am I going to do with the DeBrincat? So, and I really believe that's why New Jersey's in on this guy, because I think Jack Hughes is that guy that's going to be that playmaker that DeBrincat needs to keep the scoring touch going, and they need that scoring guy. So
right.
I would be upset about it, but if it brings us, like that second round pick that they just received, and we got somebody that could, change the franchise around, I guess I'm all for it. But it's just it's tough, man, because he's
a drafted Blackhawk.
Great numbers, yeah.
I hate seeing good draft picks go.
I know.
Well, all right, everybody. That's all that we got for you tonight. Do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Let us know your predictions on the Stanley Cup Finals and where you see this going. I'm going to reiterate my prediction of the Colorado winning the first game, which they did. Tampa winning the second one. Colorado winning one. Tampa winning one. And then Colorado winning an OT thriller and then putting it away in that game 6.
Oh man, I hope not.
That's my predictions. To be honest with you, I kind of hope it doesn't happen, but they're just on a tear, man. You know.
They look good. They look good coming out of the gate. That's for sure. Well rested.
Tear, and it's like you can't, you just can't ignore that. But then again, on the same time, Tampa has been a team that will not die, and they are a team that will find and do what they need to do to win, and they've done it time and time again. All right, everybody, that's all that we got for you tonight, and we'll see you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.